So, as we reflect on 9/11, it's worth considering, are we safer now than we were 24 years ago when that heinous act took place? Have our policies actually made a meaningful dent in global terrorism? Well, I would say the US is safer from a 9/11 scale foreign directed attack on the homeland, and the core hierarchies of Al Qaeda and the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria have been badly degraded. But the threat has not vanished. It's merely diffused and evolved. Violence has shifted, unfortunately, towards Africa, especially the Sahel region and parts of South Asia. ISIS Khorasan has become the most active node for plots beyond its home turf. Inside the United States, domestic violent extremists are the most likely killers, with foreign terrorist organization inspired lone actors a persistent second place here. On the original goals, the outcome is somewhat mixed, but not bleak. We wanted to prevent another catastrophic strike on the US soil, and we have largely. It's been much better. We've wanted no large foreign directed attacks, and that's succeeded since 2001. The Department of Homeland Security still rates the threat environment as high, but today's risk centers on lone actors in small cells, mostly domestic. Now, the next thing was dismantling Al Qaeda and deny safe havens. That's been a bit of a mixed bag. Senior leadership losses are real. I mean, we took out Osama bin Laden in 2011, Ayman al Zawahiri in Kabul in 2022, yet affiliates such as Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and Al Shabaab endure. Taliban ruled Afghanistan again hosts multiple actors, even as the Taliban fights ISIS Khorasan. Now, one of our other goals later on was to destroy the Islamic State's territorial caliphate. Now, we've done well destroying that territory. We've taken that back, but strategically it's mixed as well. The caliphate is gone in Iraq and Syria, but its branches are resilient. ISIS Khorasan's mass casualty attacks in Kerman, Iran in January of 2024 and Moscow's Crocus City Hall in March of 2024 showed renewed reach, and that reach can absolutely reach into the United States. Now, the global map has clearly shifted. The Sahel is now the epicenter, accounting for over half of terrorism deaths, with 5 of the 10 most affected countries in the region as coups and weak state capacity open space for jihadist groups linked to Al Qaeda and the Islamic State. No longer do we just look at the standard Middle Eastern players here. The Global Terrorism Index 2025 counts countries affected rising from 58 to 66, the highest since 2018. In the Middle East and East Africa, Islamic State remnants wage a low-level insurgency in Iraq and Syria. Al-Shabaab remains Al-Qaeda's largest and wealthiest affiliate, and Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has revived with this Inspire-style guidance that is coming from its larger government backers. Unfortunately, the Israel-Hamas war has energized propaganda and inspired plots. European services are most worried about ISIS Khorasan-linked networks and lone actors, with elevated risks around mass gatherings and Jewish or Israeli targets. As I said before, at home, it's domestic violent extremists that remains the most probable killers. So an actor that is foreign-inspired is far less likely. Financing has shifted towards micro-donations, crowdfunding, virtual assets, and Hawala, which pushes them away from major backers like the proxies that Iran funds or the separate proxies that the Saud family in Saudi Arabia fund. There's also Qatari, UAE, etc. They all have their hands in this, but the funding is not there as much because the intelligence on them has become quite precise. Mobilization now runs through encrypted apps and short-form video. Over-the-horizon counterterrorism can still deliver, as we saw with the Zawahiri strike. Meanwhile, the coalitions have endured. The global coalition to defeat ISIS has more than 80 members, and sanctions plus the financial action task force have tightened financial rules, though gaps persist online. I mean, when you have things like cryptocurrency, it's easy for money to move between terrorist organizations. Now, looking at the next 12 to 24 months, it's pretty clear the most dangerous node is ISIS Khorasan, with high intent for external attacks and likely plots in Eurasia and Europe. The most fragile region is the Sahel, with high lethality and risk of spillover to coastal West Africa. In the United States, lone actors and small cells remain the most probable vector tied to polarizing events. And so the net assessment for me is we are better at stopping a 9/11 scale attack, degrading leadership, hardening aviation and critical infrastructure, and disrupting legacy finance, but we are worse on containing geographic diffusion of terrorism, the ISIS Khorasan external ops revival, exploiting tech advantages, and the polarization that muddies priorities. And so I will summarize that it's a tale of two stories. We've done well at securing the United States, but unfortunately, it seems that we have made Eurasia, the Middle East, the Sahel region of Africa, and possibly even Europe a more dangerous place.